All right, so let's jump into. We have a few other statistics we were going to talk through here before we wrap up this kickoff session. So this statistic talks about when people have the chance, when they have the opportunity to work flexibly, to work remotely, 87% of them take it. I mean, I'm surprised it's not even higher, to be perfectly honest.
Well, my question to you is, what are the reasons the other 13% did not take it?
It's probably like 13% of executives and owners that do whatever the hell they want anyways. Like they don't have to follow policies or procedures or mandates. They're for everybody else. So they're like, yeah, I don't really care because I just do whatever I want to do. No, seriously though. Like most, if not all people like having flexibility in their life, let alone their work, right? I mean, things happen, things pop up. It's a huge benefit, so that's why I'm surprised that number's not even higher. Because it's like, it's like, who are these people that are like, I hate flexibility. I
Well,
want to work at a place that says you better be here by 8 a.m. and you better not leave until 5. And if you have to go to the bathroom, wear a diaper because we don't pay for people to go to the bathroom.
or may I offer an alternative for those 13%? Would you entertain an alternative?
I mean, is it different than the executives and owners, people
It
that,
is. It
okay.
is. I'm thinking because it seems like overwhelmingly popular if you're saying 87%. Perhaps the others that when it says working flexibly, maybe there's a reason they're like, I don't have the appropriate space to work at home. Maybe it's a very small space. Maybe there are other people who are at home during the day. Maybe the other people at home need to sleep during the day and need it to be very quiet. Perhaps they're caregiving for other people that are in the home, and the other people they're caregiving for, maybe they are loud. Maybe it's a louder environment. I don't know. So I'm curious if the 13%, if it would have something to do like environmentally, maybe low bandwidth, not an appropriate workspace, something like that. You're still going with your answers. Is that what I see? Have I
Oh, I mean, yeah, it could be. I mean, I was thinking too, like, it could be like people that just they don't have, they're wherever they work, the organization that they work for maybe doesn't have things set up very well. I mean, the pandemic probably got rid of most of that, but like pre-pandemic, like if those of you that have been doing this for a long time, like some of us, like the VPN used to be a beat down. Like it's like it would disconnect or it wouldn't connect, or maybe you had to access a database, and when you did it through the VPN, it was slow. So I could see, like, depending on what it is that you're doing remotely, like, so technically you can work remotely, but it's just very cumbersome. I could see those people like, I'd rather just drive into the because I can remember times in the past where it was like, if I got to work on this, I got to do it at the office because it's just too slow, or I was working for an hour and the VPN just cut off, and it's like, where did all that stuff go that I was just working on? So I could see those types of people too, but probably less so these days.
but tagging on to that, depending on what that job is, because I know one of the organizations I worked for, we would support school districts with like student data and things. And so they needed to have access. Somehow they would directly connect. So it's something with the VPN. I don't know exactly what it was. But the other part you didn't mention, and I know you are not a fan of the huge second and third monitors, but some of our support people had such a setup like in the office that it was very difficult for them to work just on a small laptop at home. Like they could do it in a pinch if you need to log in and reset a little something, but as far as like their big monitoring, they just preferred being in their natural habitat. So that could, I mean, it's not a huge percentage, so that could contribute into the 13. You don't look like you're buying it. Well, perhaps maybe this next one you'll have something interesting on this. So this one is from June 2023, so a little over a year ago, year and a half maybe. Um, 68% of Americans said they would prefer to be fully remote. And furthermore, 23% said they would take a 10% pay cut to work from home indefinitely. Do you think that's like, you think that's still, even like with the price of everything now? You think so?
Yeah, definitely count me in that group. I mean, I've been working, I feel like if you had a successful situation where you got to work remotely, I mean, it's a huge benefit. I know. I mean, for me, like, I could not imagine having, like, if our boss Chris was like, okay, this probably isn't a good analogy because our home office is in Allen, Texas, so that, and those of you that don't know the geography around here, that'd be a real far drive for me. But even if he was like, once a month you need to come into the Allen office, Ken, I'd be like, why? Like, I need more than, like, we just need you at the office once a month. Like, I'd want it'd have to be like, because I'm bringing everybody in and we're going to do a team building exercise. Well, I'd be like, well, what's the team building? Like, are we wrapping each other in toilet paper? Because I don't do those things. Or is this a real team building exercise?
Feel like you would have some questions too about like what's like, does it have warm, soft cookies? Because my snacks here are very good. Like, what's the menu for that? I really need to see the agenda before I'm coming in. Well, I can totally see that. One of the things, and we will definitely, I know this is will pop up coming along the way, is just the additional cost of being in person daily, the commute, the wardrobe, all the things. It costs more to be there because like, when you're on Zoom, we grab our shirt and then we're like what is it? Like the meteorologists, like they don't have to like they can just be in shorts, right? Another one that popped up as I was reading through different stats was that people that are working remotely or working from home can have reported like 40% more productive. Like, what do you think? I mean, is that high or low, would you think?
I mean, they're basically saying if I get to work from home, I feel like I'm 40% more productive than when I'm in the office. That's like, if I'm in charge of that person, I'm like, okay, so for you to be 40% more productive, we need you to work remotely. Okay. Or, I'd probably want to ask other questions too. Like, why are you 40% less productive when you come into the office? Like, what's going on?
Because you have to go get coffee and you have to chit chat with people all the way until you get to the coffee. When you get to the coffee in the break room, it's out. And so, well, this is probably with the new Keurigs, you're probably a little more productive. But like if it's one of the old schools, like the big ones, and you've got to brew the pot of coffee and you've got to wait for it so that you can get your cup of coffee and then I mean, it takes time. It takes time. I do love the stat that 90% would like to work remotely at least some of the time for the rest of their careers and would recommend remote work to others.
Yeah, I mean, that makes more sense to me than, what the one we had before. What was it? Like, that first one, 87% were saying they take it. Now we got this one that says 98% would like to work remotely at least some of the time. That makes more sense. That brings us down to 2%, which,
Would work
that
with my
there's
theory.
there's my executive owner percentage. It's one more percent than the 1%, but you're starting to see there, like, yeah, 98% of people would like to work remotely at least some of the time. Yeah, that makes sense. I'm like, yeah, obvious. Like, again, who's not wanting to work remotely at least some of the time? And then the last one we have here in this section, a 91% report having a positive experience with remote work. 1% said the remote work experience was negative. 8% were neutral.
There are 8% of people who are just kind of like, yeah, kind of go with the flow. They're like, yeah, if I get to do this, great. If I don't, fine.
I mean, the more interesting thing there is we finally got to it, right? The 1%. the 1%, the negatives. They're
I
like, no, I need my work. I hate remote work. And it's like, wait,
no, I have heard.
what's your title? Or aren't you billionaire Ken Khan,
No,
the
no,
owner? Oh,
no,
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 no, no. I'm Joe Bob, the working class
no,
guy.
no, 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 no. I'm going to push back on this. Yeah, I have heard this very strongly, and it was during the kind of the, I guess, pandemic plus a couple years, so through 2022. And I do know some people who were like, they hated it. They did not have an appropriate workspace in their home. They much preferred having.
Is this during the pandemic?
This was sort of pandemic and then a little bit after because they were still had the option for some remote work. And this person was very super excited to get back into the office, enjoyed the being around other people, found remote work to be, you're introverted. Stop, stop. There are people who are not like Ken Khan. Okay. So just
I'm
open,
around people all the time.
open your mind here. And part of it too was that second monitor, like the job function that this person was doing needed a lot of real estate, lots of windows open, liked being in the office with other people, just really liked the setup that they had. So I think you're going to get 8%. Not everybody's going to think
Well, that I mean
way
that
you
the
are.
8% people were the neutral. Neutral means you could go either way. You don't really have a
Okay,
preference
well then
either
definitely
way.
we've already hit the
One,
1%.
yeah, I agree. There's going to be 1% of people that are like, I got to go into the office.
Because that's the other thing is some people really do like the social aspect. You might not, but you're not everybody, right? Can we agree on that? We can agree on that.
I mean, I have been called the everyman in several different situations. All right, so I think that wraps us up on the statistics we were kind of laying down in this kickoff session. So yes, we have 10 remote work conversations planned for this series, which includes this kickoff conversation. And interestingly enough, the way it kind of fell out, the conversations pair together to some degree. So our next remote work conversation, our second one in the series, paired with this kickoff session, it's going to be focused on the perspective shift of work and also success tips.
And after that, we'll move into why remote work is being implemented and why remote work is being mandated against.
And then in conversations 5 and 6, we're going to discuss fully remote work and then hybrid remote work, two different types.
And after that, we'll move into challenges of remote work and then the productivity debate.
And our last two planned conversations, they're going to cover employee advantages of remote work and then company advantages of remote work. We hope you've enjoyed our remote conversation series kickoff. We'll link to the resources that we referenced in the description. So we have different resources that we reference throughout these conversations. We'll link to those if you wanted to look into them a lot further. And yeah, I think it'd be interesting to hear any thoughts. Like if you have any thoughts on any of the statistics that we shared or any of the comments that we had, or maybe even just which one of the conversations that you're looking forward to.